Hello, everybody. We are having our amazing monthly visit of an amazing person who's going to show up. We call them the country chairs. Now, we've got country chairs from all over the world, and I'm so pleased to say that we've got 50 of them. But today's country chair has got a different flavor to her. And it's a very special day for her also because it happens to be her birthday. And I'd like to just say a couple of things about her because I believe that this lady is transformation on steroids. And I truly believe that many of us talk about transformation, but how many of us really choose to look at it as a way forward? And how do we go about that? So today she's going to share with us what it is she does, how she does it, and how cool it is for herself and for everyone else who chooses to join and have some joy with her. So, without further ado, I'd love to welcome our amazing country chair from the Wales, Miss Nisha. Welcome to the call, Nisha. How are you doing today? And happy birthday!
Thank you, Jennifer. This is so much fun. And when you said October 15th is the day for our chat, I was like, yes.
How amazing! And I didn't even know it
Absolutely,
was your
yes.
birthday, right? So
Yeah.
it's really wonderful. So I've just given a brief about you, but I'd like to actually share with our audience who you are and what you do. Because I personally found it so fascinating when I was having our first chat and you were being introduced to me by Patricia, I remember, way back when. Um, so, ladies and gentlemen, this is Nisha Harichandran. She is a well being and empowerment advocate. And I like the sound of that. She introduces her clients to the best versions of themselves, and she does it in a different way by inviting them to meet daily challenges and achievements, observing their growth, and finding ways to reconnect themselves to their own craft, joy, their way. Now, I've heard of joy, I've heard of we must be joyful, but I haven't actually heard of many joy coaches, Nisha. Okay, so I'd like to talk about that. But before I step into bringing that up, I also wanted to tell everybody here that for a good 15 years before this, you were a lawyer and a corporate lawyer. I'd like to know what on earth made you shift. Do you still practice law or
No, not at the moment.
okay? So from being an amazing lawyer to becoming a joy coach, please share with us what transpired and what it is and how it did it happen. I mean, I just would love to hear the story.
Definitely. I mean, I enjoyed law for a good 15 years. I did started off in litigation, did commercial matters, and towards the later part of it, went into governance, working with board members, company secretaries. So kind of dabbled in different strands of law as well. And over the 15 years, had the opportunity to work in different countries across several sectors, formed many friendships. One thing I noticed along the way with me is it wasn't just the interest in law. There were so many parts of me interested in different spheres. And I couldn't kind of sacrifice one over the other. And I decided to nurture both that and friendships and keep them growing because they were all a part of me in many different ways. Um, and through that, also understood something about personal development. My dad always talked about a positive mental attitude when we were young. Parents instilled values more than other things, and they were quite firm about that. So that was always a culture within us. However small or large an act, we was always invited to say thank you. which people thought that you're very formal family, like your mom prepares a meal and you're like, thank you for the meal. And in anything that happened in our life, good or not so great, it was always trying to count the blessing, trying to count and be thankful for whatever happened, that, it kind of went off lightly, and looked at that blessing. I didn't have the vocabulary for all of those things and how they were going to come back to
Mhm.
me
Mhm.
in a different sphere. My first encounter that really shifted me was when I was working in a telco industry back in Malaysia, and I was introduced to NLP,
Mhm.
about perception projection.
Mhm.
Because my understanding about change initially was everybody else needed to change, not me,
Okay.
not
Usually
me,
starts off like that. Exactly.
Yeah, the fault was outside, or the issue was outside. And if I wasn't happy with something, then it was the environment, and it just kind of just moved to different places. But what I learned in that course or that introduction was the change journey starts within.
Absolutely.
And it's your experience and the way you look at it is what shapes the vocabulary that you're giving to something. And that was like, you're kidding me, right? you're saying that person is not stubborn, but I recognize it's stubborn because I have that quality myself somewhere.
Mm.
And that really kind of woke me up.
Mm.
And I started to look at experiences differently. I started to, before kind of like pointing all 10 fingers out, started to point them inside and
That scenario,
say,
exactly. Three pointing back at you.
yeah, it's like, what is it? Why am I experiencing this?
Mm.
And through that, just continued
Mm.
on that journey to explore, to be aware of everything. And I continued law till about 2019,
Mhm. Mhm.
even after marriage. And my husband is based here in Wales. So we had a
Okay.
bit of a long distance thing even after marriage. So enough of reporting for duty. I decided to move here 2020, started looking for jobs. Actually started off in the law field to look
All
at
right.
more training
Mm.
related work because I enjoyed the writing part of it, the storytelling, the observation, and also how we can work with people. I kind of
Mm.
like that. But COVID hit, everything was
Mhm.
shut. Part of me wanted to be a writer. So I said, a blog that I started in 2014 with one post a year. I said, let's show up and see if I can do this in a more dedicated way.
Mm.
Do people also enjoy my writing?
Mm.
And as that journey kind of grew, I was like, we are the best storytellers. And
Exactly.
if we can equip ourselves with that tool set or skills and able to tell better stories about ourselves in a way that empowers us, and that kind of led me into the journey of coaching.
Mm.
And Jennifer, I'm not an author of life, so I felt it was too big a weight to say I'm a life coach.
Mm.
So joy was something very personal to me, and I said, yeah, joy coach.
No, which
And
is really,
that's how it started.
it actually is quite fascinating, Nisha. Is, and I love the part that you say that, being in gratitude and it being brought up in that kind of environment, because I think very strongly that our environment truly determines who we are. So we've been very blessed to have parents who instill those values in you, to
Yes.
be grateful, to be thankful, to be kind, to be in gratitude. Very powerful, very powerful, and it shows up in the way that you actually present yourself. There's no shoving, there's no pushing, there's allowance. That's what I see with you. There's so much of allowance, which we need to have more of that in the world. We
Mm.
really do, because I think it's interesting how we all can wake up, shake up, choose to show up, and actually do things in a way that really complements us, because
Mm.
there's too much of you're not enough, this is not good, that is
Mm.
bad, shape up, that kind of stuff. But let's go to the next part, which I find fascinating as well. There's you call yourself the founder of something called Bohem Notes. Now, I really want to know what exactly is that, and where did you actually get that name from? It's an interesting
Oh,
name because
I'll bring the science.
I was looking at it, and I said, "Hmm, is she Bohemian by any chance?" And then I'll wait for you to tell me.
I always describe myself as bohemian spirited. And when I started my blog, it was called Bohemian Crossing
Okay.
because it reflected stories about people that I crossed paths with.
Mm,
And those were some of the best conversations that I've had in my life and through my experiences. So Bohemian Crossing was my journey from a caterpillar to a butterfly, and conversations that I've had with people across and how that created that transformative experience. So when I decided, well, I'm going to listen to my voice and give myself a chance, go on this entrepreneurial journey. Ooh, what about a name? And I was like, Bohem has to be there. I got to carry this on. Bohemian spirit, Bohemian Crossing, that Bohem has to be there. What do we call it? And since I started off in writing, I said, okay, well, I'm kind of writing stories or blogs and newsletters. So notes, kind of the notes to people's life or their journey. And the tagline was infusing soul to words. And I was like, brilliant. I was just so set on it. And then when I branched out into coaching, I was like, is this still going to work? And I was like, well, it's still the notes to people's life. They're still scripting their life script. So Bohem Notes. and I and I've stayed with it since.
it's fascinating how we can be us authentically, and then we have the names and the different things that actually show up as a result of that. That's a brilliant story. I see that you have also done a whole lot of uh, getting to know yourself with all these programs, NLP. You are a transformative coach, a level 2 ICF accredited coaching and education person. So was that all? And I have this question. Was it all trying to figure out who you are in the process? Was it more about that? Or was it trying to help people to find out who they are?
I think I wanted to be exposed
Okay.
to different tools, different skill sets that would
Mm,
also harness me as a coach.
okay.
So since I started off with NLP, I went on that journey first and continued with a master, diving further into the importance of language
Mm,
and quite a strong affinity to how we use words in our day to day and realizing the importance of it,
mm.
given we've got this radio here that plays 24/7. I wanted to dive further into that. And I wanted to go further into coaching. So I explored with the school, Animats.
Mm,
And I would just say each experience, each qualification
mm.
has just given me more things that I can keep in my toolbox
Okay.
that I can share with people and infuse it in different ways.
Okay.
So it's been a
So it's
mixture of
like the tools in your arsenal, so to speak.
yes.
Which is really cool because one doesn't have to be, and that's another thing when people say, "Oh, I've done this and I've got to stick to it." It's nice to always like in my personal journey, I went looking for myself, so I've done the whole 9 yards. I mean, every program, every affiliation, I've actually done. But then it's not about the part that you're doing, but how do you use that in the work that you do? And how do you facilitate other people into them having, more ease and joy in their life? So this thing about joy, you're a joy coach, and I know that you're doing some remarkable work. In fact, you're doing it with quite a few of our country chairs, and soon in 2024, we're going to be expanding that. So that's really
Yes.
awesome. Okay. So tell us more about that. When you're inviting someone to share their story and to explore what joy means to them and how they come. So if you could share that, because many people are going to hear this and many people are going to be saying, Nisha, can I be on your joy coach show, man? So because we have a dedicated area for you on our YouTube channel, by the way, but the girl. So
Yeah.
so tell us a bit about that. What exactly is it that you're helping to facilitate as part of that? And what kind of feedback are you getting when you do that?
Portraits of Joy has been such a humbling experience because the one thing that I was able to showcase was another individual as a portrait of joy,
Mm,
that this person equals joy mathematically, almost as an equation. And joy is a story about not just living the great moments in your life or having a smile or dancing in the rainbow and things like that, but it's kind of being real with your emotions even during the tough times.
yeah.
Even when you dislike yourself in those moments,
Mm,
it's still about coming to terms with it and finding a way to still step out of it and how you can keep continuing to choose you, prioritize you, and in a way that's not detrimental, and giving yourself the space to be able to do that. And this has been my own journey in a way. I didn't have the vocabulary then, but it was always trying to find meaning in terms of looking at the small little achievements in my day to day, or questioning why things were not looking as how it was meant to be or
mhm,
expected,
mhm,
and continuing to still say no, but I still like me. I still choose me and love myself. I may not look the same as I was 10 years ago, but I'm still Nisha and I'm still growing and I love myself in this new skin. And to be able to now expand that through portraits of joy, talking to the different country chairs,
mm,
getting them to relate their own personal experience, some bittersweet, and how they kind of talk to themselves in those moments, and finding practices that they can do so that you always have them at your fingertips. Sometimes I know with a lot of books or guidance, you want to dig deep, and at that moment it just goes blank. So to be able to take away something practical at the end of each episode
mhm,
that they can inculcate into their daily life
okay,
and learn to speak with themselves with more compassion,
mm.
and know that it's a journey. It doesn't just stop here
Exactly,
today, but
exactly.
you can grow. Today the recipe wasn't great. Tomorrow you add in a little bit of this, and you make it work for you.
Mm,
And that's been amazing. So I'm really glad with 2024 we get to expand the conversation
exactly. And I
with
think,
others.
Nisha, just a suggestion. It just showed up like that. What if you actually also invited men to do that?
Yeah,
I think that'll be
I think
phenomenal.
it's I think it would be because we
That
get to
would be
hear both perspectives.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
And
we
I'll
get to
have
hear both
quite a
perspectives.
few guys lined up for them to actually share that. But that because I think uh, the way things are, um, if we were to bring both the male and the female, and to because males have had this thing, very hardcore. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to be like this.
And you break
And I
those
think you're
stereotypical molds.
exactly, and I think your portraits of joy will help them to be a little more vulnerable with themselves, and as a result, really tap into what truly joy means to them and how it
Mm.
is that they can navigate that to create something different. So there we can have so much. It's such a, and I love the terminology you've used and the title portraits of joy because everyone is a different different portrait. And that's why it's so beautiful to know that we all are one, yet
Yes.
uniquely different. And that's what your portraits of joy is helping all of us to actually look at the different aspects that make the collective, which is so amazing. It really is a huge, huge thing. And we're going to help you to make sure that this thing really goes brilliantly.
Thank you. Thank you. The
That,
feedback has
that
been
because
very positive as well.
and what are people saying about it? I mean, when you're helping them to actually do this, I know we had one and then I was not able to, but we have to
But we're going to
reschedule.
reschedule that.
But I want to know what are people saying to you after the experience doing this portrait of joy with you? What exactly is showing up?
I think they've enjoyed it because everybody starts off with the same point. They say their name and
Mm-hmm.
then they say, I am Joy. And then they go on to explain. So it's, I'm Nisha, I am Joy. That's how every episode starts.
Mm-hmm.
And just recording that itself gives me, such a warm, fuzzy feeling because I'm getting to show this different individuals have faces of joy and how joy can look like. The experience has been really positive as they share. You just see how much passion comes across,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody has been so open. So the sharing has really come from the heart. Really
Exactly.
does.
That's being
It's
authentic. Yeah.
it's really, really come from within how they've experienced the whole thing. And the whole conversation then is just really trimmed down to a quick 5-minute conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And the way when you listen to it, it feels as if the speaker is speaking to you directly. Like I'm Nisha, I am Joy. And then they just start off with a conversation, and this is how I do it. They also go up front and say it is hard. At times it can be quite difficult, but this is how I start. Baby steps,
Mm-hmm.
really, really tiny steps. And
And giving yourself permission to be joyful, and
yes,
not constantly criticizing yourself or judging yourself
yeah.
for not being something. And I think many of us, at least I have learned to drop all the facades of what it is that others expect of you and how you have to be seen, because that for me has personally been in the time when I was transitioning in 2007, 2013, as if you're having a facade, it actually retards what it is and who
Mhm.
you are. And I think it really helps to shift those things. So that's going to be an amazing thing. But Nisha, uh, what else do you do besides helping people to be joyful? How do you, and I'm going to now come into being pragmatic, as in, what do you do for a living and how do you earn your money? I've got to be pragmatic.
Yeah, so I continue to nurture all my other interests as well.
Okay.
So I support an organization with content writing
Okay.
work, and then I'm coaching,
Okay.
and I also serve as a non-exec board member for a housing association, and
Yeah,
that's
I
where I
saw that. It's really
the
good.
legal part of me also going in governance related matters,
Mm,
and I support with some other volunteer work. So it's all about finding a bit of balance
mm, mm.
as well, and just going at it, I think, at a steady pace.
Which is really awesome. Now, one thing I'd like to share with the audience, and which is something that you have just said, which is so phenomenal, is that whatever you studied, whatever you learned in your environment, you're taking all of those things and putting it out from your hat as to wherever it is required, you actually serve with that. That is totally amazing. And I want people to get this. It's not about, I've only done this, so I have to only do this. I've only
Yes.
done this, I only have to do this. But it's about different strokes for different folks. And how do you do that? because that there is an art form. The ability to see what is required and desired. It's not what we think is required, but what is desired by somebody else is such an amazing gift to be able to have all those tools as you've collected in your arsenal, to be able to share that and be healthy, wealthy, wise, and brilliant as you are. So I'm very pleased that you chose to be our G100 Oneness and Wisdom Wales and to share, because you are helping others to see that they can be joyful too, which is a remarkable thing that you do with your portraits of joy. But having said that, what are your aspirations for the next 5 years? What do you want to be seen doing?
Big question.
Mm,
I have a fridge magnet that says I want to make memories all over the world.
good on you.
And that's something that I'd love to keep doing.
Mm,
So keep taking my voice further, I think through speaking engagements or workshops, kind of really going on this mission almost, inviting everyone to embrace joy and to recognize themselves as joy. I see this as a part. So almost a little bit about collecting a few more things into the toolbox to keep harnessing. You know, some people like the badges, some don't. So it's just a little bit of that. More exposure, I think, just getting to know people
mm,
and finding additional language, I would say, to
mm,
kind of communicate with them. Because sometimes you run a risk that this is seen as a little bit waffly, mumbo jumbo, and
mm,
harnessing the science behind
mm,
some
mm,
of the
mm, mm,
practices that we do. So you get people to also apply logic with their minds
mm, mm.
whilst also tuning into their hearts. So I'll say this is the journey I'd like to keep exploring further.
Wonderful. Then, because I think it's a brilliant thing that we can be with a lot of wisdom,
Mm,
but if everyone could actually remember the fact that it's a journey,
mm.
you haven't actually reached the destination, because you'll be like kaput if you
Yep.
had. But now I want you to talk to us about the book that you've written.
So I've authored a story in that book,
Okay.
and it's called Silver Laces. The book actually is a collection of 75 pieces of work
Wow.
by different writers from the City of the Dragon, which is Cardiff, across different writing groups. Cardiff Writers Circle is one of the oldest writing establishments here, celebrating 75 years. So to commemorate that, they invited members from the team to kind of submit their pieces of work. Silver Laces is a special story again because it's my relationship with my white hair.
Cool.
And that in itself, you know, just how we approach life or how we approach experiences
Mm,
and giving it a different focus in order to take us forward was what I was trying to bring through that book.
mm,
And speaking of the 5-year plan, Jennifer, I do have a collection of short stories that I would
mm,
love to put together. So that's hopefully shall come out in that
mm.
5 years.
I think that would be phenomenal. And what if you were to actually make a documentary of your portraits of joy and get people's permission to be able to share that with the world? I think
Yeah,
that
that would
might
be
be a
awesome.
cool thing to do. It'll be an amazing thing to do.
There's
Uh,
so much power in personal stories.
yeah.
And even in the blog, when I started, I'd done 2 sets of accounts. One about growing in lockdown, just talking to 12 different people. Same set of questions,
Mm,
12 completely different responses.
yeah.
And then I branched out to entrepreneurs. Again, same set of questions, 12
Totally different.
entirely different
Mm,
perspectives. And just putting a human account, a story to it,
mm,
just lends that much more power.
mm,
into seeing role models just walking around you, beside you, almost accessible at arm's reach, and the things that we can learn from them, model some of those practices into our daily life, and continue to evolve in our own journey.
Which is really remarkable. I just love the fact that you embrace the journey of joy, as you put it beautifully. But I'd like to ask you, what would you recommend for people to actually start looking at immediately for them to be able to even venture into accessing what joy means to them? What would you suggest that we can do if you could coach us into being that, more of that?
Make the mirror your friend.
Oh, okay.
Make the mirror your friend. We look into the mirror so often during the day, but it's so quickly to just kind of brush through or just check if our hair is in check. But really look into the mirror and start seeing yourself. Look at that person and say how you can be more supportive to that person on a daily basis. Give that person in the mirror a compliment. Hey, sexy. Something like that. Whenever you catch yourself a reflection, I'd say start doing that. Watch your language as well in terms of what's coming out as you do that. And notice the teeny tiny achievements that you're doing every day. Whether it's making a different dish that you've never tried before, being able to get ready within 10 minutes instead of 20, kind of start bringing focus and attention into these little things in your day, and you'll just notice the abundance of joy that you're surrounded with on a daily basis, and the appreciation that fills your heart through that.
It's wonderful. The one thing that I have noticed also is that I think for the longest time we have been indoctrinated to the fact that if we really looked at ourselves and if we really cared for ourselves, then it was not a good thing. We've got to, be concerned with how other people would like us. So I think what you're suggesting over here is like, wow, really look at you and see how amazing. Like I wrote a little quote some time back and said, wait a minute, can you just stop and look at yourself and say, wow, what a wonderful piece of work am I, and actually celebrate that, because you're doing it with you. You're not doing it in front of anyone else. So getting comfortable in your own skin, quite honestly, is one of the most important things that we all can learn. Wow.
Absolutely. And when you start having that kind of a dialogue and noticing the quality of the language that you're using, you're also setting a little bit of boundaries, a little bit of different sense of like respect levels. This is
for yourself. Exactly.
For yourself.
Exactly.
And that then continues the exchange that you have with another person. So if you speak with yourself with compassion, with kindness, with compliments, and that when another person kind of speaks to you in an indifferent way, you're like, hey, hold on a second. That's not how I'd like to be spoken to. That's not the tone that I would like. We don't just accept everything, and self-care isn't selfish.
That's the thing that we've got to actually.
Even in the aeroplanes, Jennifer, they always say, oxygen mask on yourself first. Strap yourself first before you can attend to the next person. Because if you are coming from a space that is full, and from a space that is comfortable, a space that you feel at your best, you are then passing, everything is energy, as totally. You're passing that on to the next person. Otherwise, it's like a snowball effect, when you're upset.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in short, if we were to summarize this whole conversation, it would be that joy is something that is paramount for every individual. how you perceive that joy is totally unique unto you.
Mm.
Um, to be able to be joyful, find the joy in your own life first. Um, because everything that you are being with you, quite honestly, is what it is that shows up in the world as you. Would that be accurate in saying that? Would I be accurate?
We couldn't have summed it up better. And if they need a point reference, I always like to refer to the skin.
Okay.
It's you can't detach it.
It has to fall off itself.
Yeah, you got to nurse it, you got to care for it, and you also look after it. And it's a choice,
Absolutely.
and you get to
Absolutely.
make that choice every single time with every single action that we do.
Cool. So before we go, Nisha, where can people find you? And if they choose to work with you, and how can you make them more brilliant and joyful? What do you do, and how can they approach you?
Yes, check out my new glowed up website,
Ooh,
bohemnotes.com.
okay,
Bohemnotes.com.
mm,
You also find resources to earlier blogs, the
okay.
conversations that we spoke about. We've also got the Portraits of Joy episodes there. They take you to the YouTube channel. And you can find out a little bit about me. I'm available for coaching, one-to-one, speaking engagements, and also running bespoke workshops.
That is awesome. Any last words of wisdom from you to all of us so that we can really imbibe that in our daily practice?
This is something again. I'd love to leave you with the words of
Yes,
Rumi,
yes,
a
please do,
favorite
please
poet.
do,
A
please
favorite
do.
poet. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in one drop.
Drop that.
So
It was
just think of
amazing.
all the inner power and resources that you have within you already. And I send you all my love and joy and the best wishes to take on this journey to everyone that's listening to this show. And thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me today.
No, it's been an honor and a pleasure to to first and foremost have you on your birthday. Oh my God, what an amazing coincidence. That's number one. Number two is Navratri.
Yes.
It's a very special day. And what more joy can we have? Is the question that I like to leave everyone. What joy can you have? What does joy mean to you? How much joy can you bring in your life first? And how much joy can you actually share with the rest of the world? Having said that, we were talking to our brilliant country chair for G100 Oneness and Wisdom for the Wales. That is Nisha Harichandran, and our joy coach and the Poetries of Joy lady. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know I've kept you away from your celebration, so please, first and foremost, let me thank you for doing that. And secondly, it has been an honor and a pleasure, as always. Thank you so much, Nisha.
Thank you.